Which of the following foods do you think has got more protein? Say we compare the same amount of each, say 100 grams. We've got steak, peanut butter, tofu, eggs, or hemp seeds. And so 100 grams of steak has about 24 grams of protein, so 24% protein. 100 grams of peanuts or peanut butter has also got 24 grams of protein, about the same as steak. 100 grams of tofu has about 14 grams of protein, and 100 grams of eggs has about 13 grams of protein. And 100 grams of hemp seeds has about 32 grams of protein. So they're about 32% protein, actually higher than steak and eggs. And most of us are taught that meat is where we get our protein. It's a pervasive myth in our society because, as you can see, plant foods do have good amounts of protein. In fact, they're actually very comparable to animal products, with some plant products actually having more protein. But in order to put this all into context, let's understand what protein is. And so protein is one of the 3 classes of macronutrients. These are the nutrients that our bodies can use for energy. There's carbohydrates, there's fats, and there's protein. And protein is a special one because our bodies don't just use it for energy. We use it for growth and repair of our tissues and cells. In fact, everything in our body, every single structure that has physical form is made out of protein. Our hair, our skin, our nails, our bones, our muscles, even the enzymes that allow our metabolic processes to occur that allow us to exist. They're all made out of protein. But what really is protein? Proteins are strings of what are called amino acids. And there are 9 essential amino acids that our bodies need to get from food. Think of these like building blocks. If you're trying to make something out of Lego, you need the specific building blocks in order to make that structure. And just as you can combine 2 square blocks to make a rectangle one, our bodies can use these different essential amino acids to produce other amino acids. There's actually 20 different amino acids that our bodies use in order to create proteins. But they can create the other 11 out of the essential 9. And our DNA contains instructions that our bodies use to piece together amino acid after amino acid in chains that are millions and millions of molecules long that fold into complex 3-dimensional structures, creating the structure of our bodies and allowing us to live. It is truly fascinating and amazing what protein does. But what does all of this actually mean in terms of our daily protein intake? So the recommended daily intake of protein has been set at 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram. This is based on studies where they've figured out the amount of protein that is needed, and they actually add on a little bit extra to make sure that these recommendations fit everyone's needs. So if you're meeting this, you're actually potentially getting even more protein than you need. But it's a good target to aim for. And so, for example, I'm about 66 kilograms. 66 times 0.8 is only 52.8 grams of protein that I need per day. And honestly, I can get that in 1 or 2 high protein meals just from plants. And for those of you like me that are maybe quite active, wanting to build some muscle, it can be recommended to have a little bit more. If you're an athlete like a runner, it's recommended to have around 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram per day. And if you're wanting to build muscle, you can go up to 1.6 or even a little bit more grams of protein per kilogram per day. So for me, that is about 105 grams of protein, but you can easily calculate this for your own body weight. But it's important to note when calculating this, you want to calculate from your ideal body weight. Because, for example, if fat mass, it's not metabolically active, so we don't want to take that into account when calculating our protein needs. For those of you who might be worried about protein on a plant-based vegetarian or vegan diet, there have been so many studies done that show all different dietary patterns consistently meet the recommended protein requirements when they're eating a varied diet. And whether you're trying to reduce your intake of meat or animal products or not, I highly recommend including more legumes in your diet. These are things like chickpeas, beans, lentils, and peas. They're incredible protein-packed foods that are also high in other essential nutrients and fiber to feed the beneficial bacteria in our gut. and create a healthy and diverse microbiome that supports us in reducing risk of diseases and living a long and healthy life. In fact, legumes are consistently associated with lower levels of the most common chronic diseases and even longer life. Imagine if there was a pill that you could take every day that was proven to extend your lifespan. Would you take it? But for something like lentils, which do have these benefits, nearly none of us are eating the recommended amount. 96% of people in America don't meet the recommended intake for legumes. And so looking at our examples in the beginning, you can see that it is easy to get enough protein from plants when we're focusing on rich sources of protein. But there's a myth out there that this protein is not complete. So what does this even mean? So we've talked about the 9 essential amino acids that our bodies need. These building blocks of life that our bodies combine together to create all of the structure and our metabolic machinery that gives us life. And the theory goes that plants are missing some of these amino acids, or they're low in them. But have a think about this for a second. Wouldn't it be quite weird if plants were missing one of the essential building blocks for life? Plants also have structure, and while some of that comes from their fibers and complex carbohydrates, they also have structures made out of protein. So of course they have all of these essential amino acids because they also have to combine them to create the structure and metabolic machinery that gives them life. And it's the same if you're eating animal foods, because the animals that people eat also had to get their amino acids from somewhere too, right? So they got them from plants. So if plants were missing essential amino acids, then the animal foods that people were eating would also be missing those essential amino acids. And different foods have different varying levels of these 9 essential amino acids. But when we come back to what we're talking about before, and what you'll hear me talk about so much on this channel, when we're eating a varied, balanced diet, including lots of whole plant foods, they all add up together and give us more than 100% of each different amino acid that we need to live, to grow, repair, to digest our food, and everything else that our bodies do. So you can definitely get enough protein just from plants by themselves. If you want to eat meat and animal products, that's your call, but don't let anybody tell you that you're not going to get enough protein on a plant-based diet. Because with appropriate planning and awareness of eating the right foods, you can easily meet your recommended intakes, whether you're a normal person or whether you're an athlete. And it's not just me that's saying this. Expert protein researchers reviewing all of the scientific literature on this topic concluded, mixtures of plant proteins can serve as a complete and well-balanced source of amino acids for meeting human physiological requirements. And as always, you can check out all of the references cited in this video at the links in the description. There's another myth out there that because of the differing levels of amino acids in plants that we need to combine our food at every meal. And this is another pervasive myth in nutrition. It actually came from a book that was written in the, I believe, 1980s, where this author, who wasn't very familiar with nutrition, just proposed it as a potential idea, and it somehow got stuck and carried and pushed through our society, where now it's something that people blindly accept without thinking about it. And so the truth is, while it wouldn't be great to eat just potatoes or just beef, because then we might run into problems of not having all of certain essential amino acids. But the thing is, the average person isn't just eating potatoes, they're not just eating steaks. We're eating a broad, varied diet. And when we eat a broad, varied diet, we're going to get a broad intake of these essential amino acids. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, and whole grains, they all have protein. And as we're eating different meals throughout the day, we're having 10, 20, 30 different types of food. They're all gonna complement each other. And if one meal, for example, is slightly lower in tryptophan, which is one of the essential amino acids, our bodies store a pool of amino acids that they can use to complement if we need more than a meal's provided. So it's not something you need to worry about at every meal or every day, because our bodies are incredibly intelligent. We've evolved for millions and millions and millions of years to deal with these challenges. As long as you're eating a variety of whole foods and eating enough calories for your energy requirements, you're going to be getting all the protein and essential amino acids that you need to thrive. And again, you don't have to take it from me. The American Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, in their position paper on plant-based diets, says that plant-based diets are appropriate for all ages and stages of life. And not to mention that certain plant-based proteins are way cheaper, so it's amazing if you're on a budget. You're not only improving your health, but you're also saving so much money. Foods like lentils, chickpeas, beans, these legumes that we talked about earlier, can sometimes be as little as 50 cents per serving or even less. So it's an incredibly cheap way to eat, while also nourishing your body with amino acids and other nutrients that you need to thrive. Plant-based proteins also have a hugely lower impact on the environment. This is because with animal products, they're generally fed plants in order to get them to grow. It's an incredibly inefficient way of feeding the world. We can just go straight to plants and get the amazing nutrients that we need ourselves, so we can save money, support the health of our planet, and support the health of ourselves, our loved ones, and our families. And if you've liked this video and you want more information on transitioning to a more plant-based diet, then check out this video. It's my ultimate guide on everything you need to know on transitioning to a plant-based diet, making sure you're getting all the nutrition you need so you can thrive and feel amazing.